You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
Who's doing the intro? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Welcome to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Lonegevity. Across the table from me is Red August. Usually on the film stuff. Next to him is DJ Jay Diff. Across from him is Jay Moore. You can all say hi however you want.
Okay.
I think I covered mine.
Okay.
Salutations,
Okay.
as usual.
I'm blessed and highly vaccinated. What's good?
Yeah.
I don't have anything special. So what up? What up, people?
All right.
Awesome.
We are here.
Do we have any
flesh.
I wasn't paying attention. Normally Maja does this. He's not on the show today, but
Thank
if we
God.
have any
Oh, he ain't here. Oh, I'm going in all show long.
if we have any random topics that you guys want to throw into chat, throw those in there and maybe we will
We'll have time to get to that.
we can talk about them, but we have a handful of things to talk about this week. Jay and I, last week was the first time we didn't have an official episode for a week, I think, in nearly 5 years.
Shout out to everybody who texted me and was like, hey, where's the episode? Like, I hated that I had to tell you there was no episode, but it really made me feel like what we're doing is appreciated.
Yeah.
The fact that our show is a part of your weekly routine. So we definitely appreciate that.
Definitely, yeah.
indeed.
I have no idea who most of the people are that listen to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Let's do it.
but yeah, we sat and chatted with everybody about Donda a little bit and some other things.
Sounding like
but-
too grumpy old man.
I don't care.
That's obvious.
No, I mean, I listened to it. I gave my honest opinion.
Was it honest though, or was it biased?
I told you the records I liked.
I listened to
I
it.
didn't just write off the whole album.
I didn't either. I sat and tried to listen to it. I mean, I did. I sat and
I
listened
mean,
to
it's
it.
okay if it's a biased opinion. Like we all have.
No, but what I mean, it's everything. Every opinion, if it's not rooted in fact, is biased, right?
True.
So, but what I would say is that it's like I said last week. I sat down, had my phone on Spotify, pressed play on track one. I think I told you I played 2 games of MLB The Show while I was listening to it. Whole games.
Just through the phone, though? You just listen to it through the phone?
Yeah, because
Not like good speakers?
I knew that it would probably not be mixed well, and I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
See?
So I listened to it, and if it needed more than that, then I would give it more than that. But that's like I said. I mean, I guess that would be a good first topic. My initial thoughts on it were, it wasn't horrible. I don't think it was made for me. I don't think he makes music for me anymore. I didn't enjoy it. I'm not overly religious. I don't care to hear about Jesus and God and your demons all the time on every single song.
Heathen.
Which is fine. I can be a heathen. I feel like it was the same song redone in a different subtle way, like 25 times throughout the entire
But
record.
it wasn't.
But it kind of was, because every time I would listen to it, especially his subject matter. His subject matter was not very.
That's what I'm here for.
No, I'm not even riled up. I'm not going to change my opinion. When I listened to it, it was just. I guess I probably knew that's probably what I was going to get, and I only listened to it because I knew we were probably going to talk about it. But otherwise, I've got no reason to want to listen to Kanye West in 2021. I don't, me personally, but I wasn't impressed. I was kind of excited when I heard the Lauryn Hill joint. At first, I thought the chop was a little weird, but then it started playing. I was like, "Oh, this is a jam."
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, "All right, that's cool." And then it went into another one that was kind of cool. And then it went on to the joint that was right after it. It was Remote Control, or a couple tracks after it. I thought Remote Control was cool. I like that one. And then a couple other spots here and there. I was like, "Oh, that's a cool moment."
Mm-hmm.
But it just had a bunch of random cool moments and nothing that I could get behind. And it was 27 songs long. I didn't need 27 songs. He should know better.
It starts sounding the same, I would say, probably around song 14.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll like jump off that path and it'll jump back on it.
So I did notice that too, because I listened to like the first, I don't even remember. It was like 6 or 7 or 8 songs or something. And then it feel like it kind of shifted like the feel a little bit. and then it kind of got on a run for a while, and then it kind of went back.
Mhm.
And so I don't know.
It was an experience.
Well,
Yeah.
Because they're always like, oh, well, you can't listen to it on your phone or through your headphones. So I was like, all right,
No,
well,
you should listen to it through your headphones.
but I said, okay, when I get to the club and I got a premium sound system, let me run a few of these songs. And there were some of the songs I'm like, man, this is I'm starting to depress my staff by playing this on really loud speakers. Like I said, I don't think it's a terrible record, but I think this is something I didn't put this out in any other place because I wanted to save this for the show. We're all of the era where you bought records. We all remember going and busting that packaging open and reading the credits.
Right.
I think we've all had the experience of being on our lunch break or going somewhere at midnight and getting a record. I just want everybody when they talk about how, oh no, it's cool. This album is great, or even with there are people capping for the Drake album. That would have been a double album too. As far as the length and the amount of songs,
We'll get there.
would you feel the same for the people who really are through the moon for either one of these projects? If on your lunch break you had to go to the Sam Goody or the whatever record store that was in your and give them $27.99,
I wouldn't
Plus-
spend $27 on that.
a double album, or say you caught it on sale for 22 or 23.
I mean, I've paid that for a
Double album. When it was time to get, you remember how disappointed?
I was pissed off when I went to Rockin' Billy's and bought that album.
Yeah,
But that album was better than Art of War. I'll tell you that much.
but I'm just saying, like if you dropped, say you caught it on sale for $22.95 plus tax for Donda, would you feel the same way? I'm not speaking to anybody in this room. I'm talking to those people who have been saying this is the greatest thing ever and this is an achievement.
This is the.
Would you feel if it didn't come to your phone for free?
Yeah, but see,
would you
this is
feel
the
the same
devil's
way?
advocate on that though. If you went and bought that, because we were also in a time and age where you had to get comfortable with that purchase too. So I couldn't just listen to it this one day and then write it off and wait for Drake to come out the next week.
Mhm.
True.
I'm going
That's
to I'm going to spend this money on it, and I'm actually going to get comfortable with this release, and then be like, okay, let me really critique this because I know I'm probably not going to get another album from Kanye for at least 2 years.
But I remember buying Art of War and being upset with my purchase that day.
I also think that at this point in time,
Yeah, I was upset with that purchase.
Yeah.
at this point in time too, where we have listened to so much music and a lot of us have been professional critiquers, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to sit with albums like I needed to sit with albums in 2000. I mean, don't get me wrong. The reason why I said I don't think Donda is a bad project is because I don't feel like it was made for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it has its moments. But I knew what I was going to get into when I listened to it. And it was pretty much what I expected based upon the snippets that I heard.
Mhm.
I knew I was never going to listen to it again, or I have no
Yeah,
need to
I
listen
can
to it
dig
again.
It's 27 tracks long, and I'll say this about Donda: I'm the resident Kanye fan, so it is what it is. And I tell you, when Kanye drops something that I don't mess with, I'm always
Mm-hmm.
upfront and honest about that. If Donda was not 27 tracks long, if I could trim the fat on Donda and cut it down to maybe, let's say 14, I'd have been happy with that. Because there's a lot of songs on there that, I mean, it's almost like filler. Like even the Pop Smoke song, that didn't need to be on there.
No, it didn't.
That was just like, let me throw a Pop Smoke feature on here, and you're not even rapping on it. But overall, I get the moment. I get the feeling that he was trying to portray. Now, is it one of his best albums? I'm not going to say that either. But it's not trash, and to me, it doesn't sound like it's all the same. It has a moment where it sounds very similar, but then it'll break up the monotony, then it gets back to that same thing.
Mhm.
But in my personal opinion, it doesn't sound like one just opera act 1, 2, and 3 where it's all the same type stuff. But I don't know. It is what it is. It's not that bad.
No, I don't think it's horrible. I just don't like it.
I thought it had some really high moments.
I do too.
What's the highest moment, do you guys think?
Let me look at the track list.
For me, the one that keeps coming back to mind is the Jesus song. Like, okay, I'll preface this. I'm not a religious person. Like, I don't like church. I'm not like promoting like
that Jesus Lord song is
like
cold.
Isn't that on there twice? Is that the one that's on there twice?
Yeah, that's the one that has
the Locks and J Electronica.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
Like that song. I don't know. I'm sitting there and I'm working, and it honestly did something to me. Like, I felt a certain way, and for me, like I don't like gospel music. I think gospel music is just trash. Like, I just don't like it. I'm honest. I honestly, I don't like it.
I ain't never came up on gospel music either,
but it's like, it did make me think about, religion and stuff like that, and kind of just seeing like what he's going through, because the first few times he tried to make gospel albums, he missed the mark. And I feel like I wouldn't say he perfected what he's been trying to do for all these years, but he's a hell of a long way from
See, I wish,
it's a lot better.
To your point,
Jesus
I wish that Father Stretch My Hands would have came out now, so that Kanye could have wrote a for real verse versus what he wrote on Life of Pablo. Because the way that album starts out is like, this is how you gonna hit me, but this the verse you gonna give me.
All right, you guys think that the verses that he was writing on this album they're
not bad? I'm not saying that they're
for his verses.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're immaculate and they're great, but I mean, they're not terrible. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give you my rundown of this is what Donda should have been.
Okay.
So Donda chant, I would leave that just because of what it means. You know what I'm saying?
Heartbeat, right?
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know exactly, but I understand him chanting his mom's name. I get
somebody
that.
else actually did that before him.
Yeah, I get that. Jail, I can dig jail.
Would you make it instead of a jail 1 and jail 2? Would you just put the
I would make
together?
Yeah, I would just put them both together.
All right.
Jail, Off the Grid stays. Hurricane stays.
I don't know any of these songs.
Junior stays. Remote Control stays. Heaven and Hell stays. Donda stays. Jesus Lord stays.
Just combine them.
Yep. Yeah. No Child Left Behind. I understand that. I mean, it's not for real a song though. It's just like, it's almost like an interlude. Some of this stuff is just interludes, but they're called songs. So even back when we're talking about albums, these would have been listed as interludes on these albums. You would have immediately skipped it anyway if you didn't want to mess with it. But I mean, to me, those tracks, and then along with the one we're gonna get into later, that's a complete album to me.
I think there needs to be some sort of almost gentleman's agreement in hip hop, to where like, okay guys, like I understand we all are playing the streaming game, but can we just keep it to 12 to 13 songs, maybe 15 total if you got interludes? Because I'm sorry, I see a playlist like this and I'm like, I already know it's going to be unfocused. Even when we think about the double albums from the 90s,
there's not very many double albums that we can actually sit here and say were very good. Like, there's a handful of double albums that make the cut that you could be like, oh, that was a good album from front to back on both sides.
Which means that people shouldn't do them.
Yeah.
I don't know. That Nelly sweatsuit was
that was a number one stunner, wasn't it?
Yeah, but at least he had the good sense to sell them separately.
What?
I thought they came together.
No. Actually, what he did is he went back and re-edited for Sweatsuit, put grills on it, and that's how he re-released. The same way when Jay-Z did Blueprint 2 as a double album and re-released it as Blueprint 2.1.
Yeah, Blueprint 2.1 trim the fat.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. Okay.
I mean, I agree. Like, I think that when people make double albums, like, it's like you said, it's unfocused. I think that's a great way to put it. It's just, I mean, like, you can't just make a decision and just, you know what I'm saying, just cut the fat.
I want to put everything out. But this is a good transition into our first topic, though. So I guess we can go ahead and
We
do
should
that.
probably
Go
go to the
ahead and do that. So came out over the weekend, which I guess we'll talk about later too. A whole bunch of Drake and Kanye beef, but
Not
a
really
song
beef.
leaked. Who knows, right? Who knows?
Tofu.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, killer tofu.
Out
Shout
to
out to
Doug.
Doug.
But Andre 3000 and Kanye West, a song that they did called "Life of the Party" leaked, and apparently leaked from Drake specifically.
Shot himself in the foot.
I did he though? I don't know.
I think this was.
No, he didn't. I'm just talking.
But I think listening to it. I mean, obviously, we're all huge Andre fans here. I'm pretty sure. And Andre had probably the most focused verse potentially on the entire project if it made the project. It was a really
He definitely understood the assignment.
He
did.
definitely
He
took. That's the words for it. He understood the assignment. He
Yeah.
took it and ran with it.
But it was an amazing verse. I thought it was great. I really wish Kanye would have focused a little bit more on his verse, but maybe that's why he didn't put it out. Also because he cursed, right?
But that was a good verse from Kanye, though.
It was a good verse.
Mhm.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I feel like Kanye's verse for that song was the entire Donda album. Like his whole album was about that, really. So I don't know. I feel like. Did you guys see that Andre came out and he made a statement?
Yeah.
So
I didn't
about
see that.
Very
What is
thoughtful and
so he was just
measured thing that he had to say.
yeah, he essentially just said along the lines that he didn't necessarily know that there was no cursing, and because that, he didn't want to.
He understood why it didn't make the album.
Right.
But he also added that once he got the track and wrote to it, that the track or Kanye's track wasn't on there. He said it was a different track
Yeah.
than what he actually initially heard. So
what do you guys think about? What do you, Terry? First, you being the resident Outcast. I mean, we all are, but Outcast and Andre and Kanye fan.
Even got on the Braves jersey. It's perfect.
yes, indeed.
What'd you think
Players
about
ball video.
What'd you think about that whole thing? And I guess even the situation behind, like, sounds like really bad. Like, this is the one time we get an Andre verse and it's not even out.
Yeah, man, it's
Like fumbling the bag.
yeah. You did honestly because so you're going back and forth on when you're going to release your project, and you had an Andre 3000 track in your arsenal, and people are foaming at the bits for Andre 3000 verse, and Andre 3000 is probably the definition of quality control, because he's not letting anything out unless it's quality every single time. If he gets on your track, he's going to breathe on it. He's going to give it life. And he was so focused on making this track about Donda.
Yeah.
You know,
And his
Kanye's mom and his
yeah.
mom. And I felt that
Oh yeah,
Like-
definitely.
crazy because, I mean, I just lost my mom.
Yeah.
So me hearing that verse and how he's talking about, can you tell my mom I'm talking to her? Can she say something? Like, that's
Mhm.
real.
Yeah.
I go through that myself. So not even that I'm able to relate to it on that point, and I'm an Outkast fan, and it's just a matter of you having a track like that of that magnitude and you left it off of your project, a project that you have this beef leading up, or so-called beef leading up with Drake. And if you're thinking about sales and what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like, there's no way you leave that off your project. No way. Whether you're dropping it with no cuss words or not, because I mean, at the end of the day, either you're going to make Christian music, or you're going to make what do they call it when it's secular music. I mean, this is technically is a secular release. So although you notably cut cuss words and things out, you could have did the same thing and kind of edited Dre's verse a little bit as for it not to lose its impact. But at the same time, you fumbled by not dropping that, man. There's no way that you release that and not include that on your project.
Yeah.
And you arguably had the best verse that you've had since Black Dark Twisted Fantasy.
I thought it was a good verse.
Yeah.
I even Kanye's, I thought it
Yeah.
was good. I don't know if it necessarily 100% matched everything. Like I
It
feel
didn't
like
match Andre's
I feel
energy
like
at all.
No, I didn't match his energy.
I feel like at the end of the verse, he even got a little even more distracted and focused on the stuff. But I feel like the one thing that I would say with that particularly is like I wish Kanye's whole album had that same type of energy on it.
Yeah.
And it just didn't to me. But
Well, that's
just
the
me.
thing that's been happening with Kanye. He drops songs that you hear, like, for example, remember like No More Parties in LA.
Mm.
Remember that energy on that song? You was like, dang, I wish this whole album had that energy. Or even when he dropped
That was old Kanye,
No, it wasn't though.
but it was.
That song was a couple years old.
That song came out on Pablo, but that was already 2-3 years old when they put
but
it
he
on there.
still was kind of.
That's like My Dark Twisted Fantasy era.
Yeah.
But he had another one too. What was the other one? Friends or
I
How
don't know.
many of us? How many? What is that song? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
that same energy, it's like he gives you the glimpse or glimmer that he's still tucked away in there, but it just doesn't process on a whole album, so to speak.
Yeah. What do you think, Jay?
You know, I was disappointed in Kanye for putting that verse with that energy about dissing this other dude. And how do you hear what Andre did, which was so heartfelt and was, you know, about his mom, and you could probably relate to that on a whole different level. And you said, yeah, let me use this as a diss track. Now, mind you, it never came out, so we weren't meant to hear it. So, you know, maybe Kanye wasn't in a place where he realized the energy was bad that he had on there. And so he was like, that's part of why it didn't come out. Plus, the cursing couldn't have been that big a deal because he edited all the Lox's cursing.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like, it's just one of those things to where it's where Kanye loses his focus, and sometimes he's so much more into the theatrics and all the other attention getting that sometimes the music seems to come second. And this was an instance where if it was about the music first, he'd have figured out a way to get this on his album, because it would have, you know, between that and the Lauryn Hill flip, if we got an album full of that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be. Now, I understand that I'm not out there A&Ring anything on good music or anything that Kanye has to put out, but I'm just saying, like, one of the high points of Donda is a song that wasn't even on the album. And I think, you know, this is also where Kanye West is. It's like when you hear his energy on his verse, I don't want to get into anything, calling anybody a hypocrite or anything, but you got to understand that is the conflict which is in all of us. Is like, okay, yes, I want to
Gemini.
I want to present this to the world, but this is still part of who I am. You know, he's still out here repping GD and and talking about, like, you know, some other dude he's got beef with and how it's going to go down. You know, that's still, you know, you like, I know, you know, there are people who go to the strip club on Saturday and are the first ones at church on Sunday.
Sanctified.
You know, so I mean, and I can't judge.
But I'm the heathen.
I can't judge any of those people.
That's a whole lot of heathens.
Because you know what? Look, I feel like it would have been cool if Kanye would have let the curses go, because you know what? God is not done with everybody yet. And that would have
definitely ain't done with a lot of them features he got on this album.
Yeah, so you know, I think that would have made, honestly, to let the words go and because honestly, the sentiment is there. Just because you hear a word that somehow the world has deemed as a curse word,
Right.
But when you listen to the actual lyrics and the way they're put together,
The Bible.
like, honestly, some of this more, it does more to speak to people's hearts and their actual condition.
Sometimes the message is more important than condemning it for a word.
Than you saying, oh, well, I don't like that particular word. Well, did you listen to the whole sentence? Because the whole sentence might have saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We think, Mike.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate only because he says something that made me. I don't understand how you could leave off an Andre 3000 verse, like knowing who he is, like everything that you talked about.
What you saving it for?
Because I think he is focused. Like, his focus isn't what like we think it should be. I think his focus for this album was about the money, it was about the beef, was about whatever else. It wasn't about the music. It wasn't music first.
It wasn't about the beef because he doesn't talk about Drake at all on this album.
I mean, it's like, well, I mean, like that unspoken, like, I'm trying to outdo you kind of thing. And because for you to put the Locks, Pop Smoke, and 27 other tracks on your album and leave that one off, there has to be a purpose. Like, he didn't do that just because he was, I mean, I just figured you got to be like, you have to have some kind of like focus, something like there has to be some point you're trying to prove to leave the stuff off the album that he left off the album.
But
Like,
he was
there's no way
alluding
you
to it too, because before Drake leaked it, he was like somewhere featured playing it in the background. So it's almost like I'm teasing y'all with it.
You know what though? It would be really hard to edit Andre's verse though, especially that part where he's talking about him and somebody's daughter. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you edit that and still get that sentiment across.
But
as somebody that does that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Diff,
like
when you heard like, and you know, I'm not trying to get super personal, but like, I know for what you've been through in the last month or so, like that verse I know had to, like Andre's verse I know had to speak to you in a way.
Yeah.
Like I just think about the level of healing and therapy that verse could have done for so many other people if it was actually on the album.
Yeah, because it fit the mood of the album, and having that verse on that album would have made that album sound totally different if it had just came out with it on there.
What other reason would he have edited everybody else's verses, but then didn't want to take the time to edit that one, even if it was hard to edit? Like you said,
I think it has to do. I don't remember who touched on it, but I think it has to do with what Kanye did on the song. I think it has to be like how he addressed it. Like once he started getting into all this other stuff, and he started, to me, I thought it was a great verse, but I feel like it's probably just not the right type of, or not even right. I don't think it was the type of energy he wanted to put out there. I think that's what it had to have been, because there's no reason to leave on. You can leave Kanye off completely. You can just.
That's what I'm saying. You could have did the same thing you did for Pop Smoke and just put Andre. Yeah,
he could have rewritten that verse and re-recorded it at any point in time. You know what I mean? Like, so I just think that there has to be a reason why he left it off, and be cursing, I don't think that's not a good enough reason for me to, like, I don't know. I just feel like he's on some other stuff.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Well, somebody definitely quarterbacked it to Drake and his people.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Like, how did Drake get it?
So, and that's the other thing.
There's some fools in somebody's camp who is just he forgot to pay somebody.
Yeah.
There were a lot of
mole
people,
somebody somewhere
whose verses got left off of Kanye's album.
Apparently Chris
and that's
Brown.
the only one that got leaked.
I've never in my life seen so many people butthurt about not getting on an album. Like, every album.
Shout to Soulja Boy.
every album has people that don't make
just
the
don't
cut.
make it.
I mean, that happens. It always happens. You always hear of a song that came out of nowhere. You be like, dang, I never knew about this song.
Yeah.
Because the artist ain't tripping. You got paid for it, right?
Probably.
So why are you tripping on it not being on the project?
Because they know the value of Kanye. Like,
man,
people are gonna listen to his stuff.
You don't hear anybody like, dang, Drake, you left me off? What's going on, man? What's up with that?
Drake put everybody on his album though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think we can. I think we're about halfway. So if you want to transition into the partners, we can go ahead and do that real quick.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about Drizzy.
Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. Sun King Brewery is what we're drinking on every episode. Check out their many local locations, and they might just be selling in your city if you're not in Indianapolis. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
Okay. We're back. Sweet. All right. Sorry for talking over that. So let's just jump into this because there's a couple different things here we can talk about. So with all this being said, the pretty lover boy, sweet lover boy, clever lover boy, whatever.
Certified lover boy. Sweet lover boy.
Sweet lover boy.
Sweet lover boy with the emojis with the pregnant women on the cover. So Drake dropped his long-awaited compilation project.
Stab.
Yeah. And
pregnant women?
And,
no.
Dang.
No, but
I ain't from Texas.
Oh, no, that's a bar. Actually, people from Texas. Never mind. So, yeah. So he dropped the project. I did actually run it one time.
Did you?
It's the first time I've actually ever ran a Drake project front to back.
Wow.
I know.
Give him a round of applause,
I know.
people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won't. You didn't even listen to Kanye's front to back.
He did. He listened to it twice. You had to play
Well, no, one time. I stopped it at track 25 because
MLB the show.
I'm gonna make sure you know I
I
only
don't
listened
really care.
one time. Gave him that one time. Yeah.
I gave him that one listen. No, I did listen one time. I was just curious. Well, the main reason why was because I had heard the rumor that Drake was going to be rapping on it, like rapping.
You hear that same rumor every time.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance. So I pulled up, a little streaming service and pressed play on it. And
Were you excited? Were you like,
no, I was curious.
Oh, okay.
You're
I was
like,
just
finally.
curious. Yeah, I was like,
Sweet
oh, man.
lover boy.
I've been wanting to like Drake for so long. No, but I think that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a ton to say about it because I'm not the hugest Drake fan. So I don't really know a ton of his material. I know he's a pop artist. I know he does make like the same type of project pretty much every time, or at least the same type of music across the board. He doesn't seem to cover anything that's going on like cultural news at all. It's so
No,
he's
he's
like,
not that guy.
He's not that guy. So,
No.
so I believe our subject matter topic is related to people maybe wanting more from Drake and or okay with him just making the same type of project over and over. So my question, I think I'm probably going to go to Jay first because you are in the clubs and all that good stuff. So what do you think about that? Does it matter that he is making the same type of project over and over again? If he is, I don't know. I'm talking ignorant right now. Or do people want more from him?
I don't think people want more from him. I think at this point we understand, especially after listening to this project, that Drake has hit his ceiling. What we're going to get from Drake is what we're going to get from Drake. And I don't think we should be disappointed or be like, oh yeah, he's going to take it to the No, he's not. No, he's not. He's, we have seen what Drake can do. We know what his step back jumper is. Maybe he'll dunk every once in a while, but he ain't gonna play no defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think anyone. I'm disappointed because from a pop rap club standpoint, this is below average for him. Like there are songs like, okay, that Too Sexy song, I think that is embarrassingly bad, but where we are as far as pop rap is concerned,
It'll still work.
it is. I heard it all weekend long.
Yeah, still gonna work.
And see, this is the thing about Drake. Drake is usually about traditional rollouts. Okay, I'm gonna have singing single here, and then I'm gonna have my song that my quote unquote rap single. And we're going to lead up to having this great first week. Hopefully this wasn't a thing where like, oh yeah, I'm trying to battle Kanye, so I'm not going to have the quote unquote traditional rollout, because usually we would have seen the video and had a single and it would have been popping on the radio for 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'd have got the album. Sometimes the lead up is even longer than that.
Yeah, that doesn't matter anymore though.
It doesn't.
He did drop a video.
He did drop a video, but like, other times, like when we're getting God's Plan, like we got that, and then we got the album, Hotline Bling. Then we,
How long has it been since he dropped a project?
Right when the pandemic started, he had dropped the Tootsie Slide one.
yeah.
but that was
TikTok.
that was just a little one off.
That was just like a song though.
It was like a project.
Or was that on the Dark Low? It was
a whole project.
I can't, I guess because I don't keep up with Drake, but even when he put out his little 3-pack earlier in the year,
It's called the care package or something
Was
like
that?
that.
Yeah.
I thought.
but I don't know if that, because like he does so much material. You could tell there's stuff that they like when they put out like those, the Dark Low or whatever tapes. Like you could tell that was something. It's like, okay, we just got these here. We gonna feed the streets a little bit here with that, as opposed to the full on push that we're going to get. And we definitely want a number one album with this, and we're going to hit radio hard with these joints. I will say there were a couple that it's, like I said, they're going to work in the club. I think he on each and every feature he got his ass beat. I don't think he held his own on not against Jay-Z, who was you know, I don't want to who did his thing. I don't even think against 21 Savage. I don't think against Rick Ross, and I got to give props again to Lil Wayne for a second week in a row. Like, can you believe that? I think Lil Wayne got at him. You know, I don't think he out-rapped any one of his guests on his album. I think he got an Afro beat song on there that I guess will work. I mean, I don't think it's particularly anything special.
He's done better.
I just, you know, like I said, for a Drake, you know, you got to compare Drake albums to Drake albums. I can't really compare them. I mean, when people are trying to have that comparison to even J. Cole or Kendrick, we need to stop that because it's just not in the same category.
Yeah.
Not as far as rapping, not as far as subject matter, not as far as just artistic integrity. And some you can get mad at me about that. It is what it is. I said what I said. You know, Drake makes pop rap music for the club, and with this particular record, we see that's don't go. Yeah, he got a couple spicy bars in here, you know, but it isn't like I'm like, oh man, he really killed it with that. You know, you're not going to get that from me. And I think once again, we've seen now we know what Drake's ceiling is. He can't get any higher or any better than what he is right now.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Say that.
Pretty much why he's wearing the Toronto Maple Leaves.
Yeah,
I did not plan that. It was between this and the Calgary
I think
Flames.
he's a Drake fan, guys.
It just happened to be, you
Six
know,
rapper.
you know, I hadn't been able to get this 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝗧 off
I can dig it.
since it's been so hot outside.
What you take, Terry?
I've never disliked Drake. I've always actually appreciated Drake. But Drake has given us the same album at least 3 times. Trice.
What do you mean by the same album?
It's the same album. It almost follows the same format as far as you're going to get this type of song. You're going to get a song that's kind of geared to Houston and slowed down a little bit. You're going to get a song where I really rap and everybody's going to get excited because I really rapped on this song and the heads really like this one. And then you're going to get a bunch of filler. Then you'll get another radio hit and another hit. And the rest is kind of lost in the sauce. He's done that at least 3 times. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
And he has, Drake has some really good albums tucked in his pocket. I don't care what nobody say.
I really like Take Care.
Take Care is a very, very good album. His first 2 mixtapes, Comeback Season was good. Of course, the album that pretty much gave him his flavor was So Far Gone, which is an interpolation of 808 and Heartbreaks, not to a T, but is definitely energy inspired by that album. But Drake,
I liked his first actual studio album, Thank Me Later.
That was good. He doesn't have albums that I just hate, but this particular album, especially the build up to it, is kind of like, okay, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sway me either way. Like, if I wasn't a Drake fan already, this isn't the album. I'm like, okay, I'm riding with Drake. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not going to tilt the balance beam.
I mean, it
so
did
to
me.
speak.
I'm the same way. Like, I don't hate Drake. I know a lot of people hate Drake. Like,
Yeah.
I don't hate him.
They hate what he represents, not really him. They don't.
Yeah. Some people hate him because they ain't him. I ain't go front.
That too.
Yeah, because they've always wanted to be the pretty boy that gets the girls, and some people are getting girl challenged, unfortunately. So
he out here stealing people's gal. You know what I'm saying?
They don't like that. They don't like that type of energy. So they in turn hate him for those reasons.
He's not even from around here.
But he, I mean, he's definitely got his formula. And I can't sit there and say just because it's working to keep on hitting that button. I mean, it's kind of compared to good food. If you're sitting having a good dinner, do you want to eat that same dinner every single night?
It's kind of like expectations, right? So like if right, I think what you're kind of alluding to is that like if Drake just randomly dropped this project and there wasn't this huge buildup where he's putting billboards in everybody's city and there wasn't this weird back and forth with Kanye West
and he wasn't the sweet lover boy.
Sweet lover boy, the sweet clever lover boy. If he wasn't that,
Lover boy.
if he wasn't that, then would we be critiquing it the same way?
I would.
Yes.
Because
You
I'm
think so?
still going to listen to
Yes.
it because I'm going to scour tracks anyway because I want to hear some stuff I can play myself.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scour it and and kind of trim it down to what I want to hear off of it anyway. But unfortunately, this is one of those things because we're from the old school. We're looking for an album that rides, that I can just pop it in and let it ride. Those type things really don't exist anymore, unfortunately.
That's what I said. It's kind of like a compilation album.
Yeah.
It sounded like just a whole bunch of random songs. Just kind of
and playlist.
And it's got a few joints on there. Don't get me wrong. Like I made a post on Facebook saying that Drake has dropped the same album twice and nobody cares, or nobody's tripping. Right. And like a gang of people chimed in, a gang of people liked it and laughed at it because it's the truth. It's like he's giving you the same exact album, the same format, and everybody's cool with it. And one person commented, said, "We just want to vibe." I'm like, I can dig that if you just want to vibe, but you can vibe on a different frequency too.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be all linear in order for you to still be considered good. And I like to compare. I mean, even as a pop star, Mike had actually brought up, he's a pop star. Michael Jackson never dropped the same album. Even though there were similarities between Off the Wall and Thriller, they were still miles different as far as overall vibe of it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like the thing that we keep coming back to, because we're all fans of music, like fans of music to an extent. We really care about it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we just have higher expectations than what we're receiving sometimes, because
or what's warranted nowadays, because nowadays people really don't care, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So like, we know that Drake has tendencies to be really good at what he does, as far as rapping or even pop songs or whatever he does. We know Kanye has had it in him in the past to put out spectacular music. So when these artists that we know have it in them seem to be lazy in a sense, or not fulfill that for us as fans,
just like we talked about last week, leaving it on the field.
Yeah, it's like they're just like leaving it. They're like, well, here's this. You're gonna like it anyway.
You're gonna like it
some of them
because I am who I am.
I feel like a lot of artists, for at least an album, hit that point. Like I remember, like a lot of because even some of my artists, like favorite artists, like they've made some duds. Like people aren't perfect, I think. But yeah, this album is very forgettable.
Yeah,
like, I would almost rather for an artist to give me a dud so that they can be like, okay, they didn't like that.
Let me go ahead and refocus.
I need to get for real. Like Nas is prime example of that, man, because people gave Nas such a hard time over a lot of his albums and his beat production and how he picked stuff. And honestly, there's only maybe 2 albums from Nas that I just really don't like. Overall, he's done what he was supposed to do, in my personal opinion. Yeah. But once he got locked in with Hit Boy, it's like he kind of felt a comfortable niche with him, and he's continuing on and he's doing the same thing essentially, but it's different.
Oh, he's kind of evolving though in real time. Not crazy, but
but it's not linear. So like when I say he got with Hit Boy, so he had King's Disease Part 1 and then King's Disease Part 2. So there's a lot of people that saying they prefer the second one over the first one and vice versa. But they don't sound the same though. But he's using the same producer. He's vibing with the same producer, but they're not releasing to you the same vibes. Drake has been with 40 his whole career. And there was a point where the vibe switched, but once it switched, it stayed in that pocket. I think that was on Views. Once Views came out, it's kind of been the same energy the whole time, in my personal opinion.
Because you got the song with Rick Ross and Lil Wayne. I think that was Bink.
I like that song, but it
reminds
old.
me. It reminds me of Lord Knows off of Take Care.
Yeah, it sounded like something I heard before.
Yeah,
but
it does.
I liked it.
It is something you heard before. With Rick Ross.
That song was really old. Like I was just telling him, like that song sounded like they made that about 10 years ago.
No, it did. I listened to it and I was like, this is something that I would typically like, but I was just like, it almost sounded like they did that on purpose. Yeah, it just didn't fit for the whole vibe.
It was a Sweet Lover Boy.
It wasn't. No, he needed to be a little bit more sweeter.
That needs to be the name of the podcast, Sweet Lover Boy.
No, it doesn't. But he could do a remix.
He was talking real greasy on that. What was that? 7 a.m. at such and such. You know, he always drops a track where it's a timestamp.
Yeah,
and he usually goes off on those songs.
Thing is, I'm worried. Drake has the worst circle of friends I've ever heard on a
Man,
everybody. I'm losing friends. It's always about him losing friends and being better. I was like,
or no new friends. You don't want no
do
new
you have
friends.
any
but you
friends
losing
left,
friends
fam?
and-
Like
Damn.
no friends in the industry.
But I've been around for so long.
First of all
my
your friends are in
have.
the industry.
Yeah,
Doesn't he have a feature on that song? Too?
man. The industry is protecting Drake. Everybody knows who Jay Prince is, and
Yeah.
without Jay Prince, Drake might not be safe out here in these streets.
Wait a minute. What really threw me was when Kid Cudi showed up. I was like, is
Kid
that song?
Cudi and
Yeah,
Jay
yeah.
showed up. The thing about Jay-Z showing up is weird because on Gay's album he alludes to this might be the return of the throne, but then you
Yeah.
hop on Drake's album and you're talking about friends being friends with people you don't mess with, and ain't that kind of what you're doing by being on Drake's album?
That's
I
why
mean, it
think
seems
they-
like it.
Man, these dudes like each other, man. They not really. Like,
Yeah, they definitely got to be in cahoots with each other getting this money, man, because
They all
not
mess
really
with the same
beefing,
girls.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They come on now.
I mean,
They
they
really
still
do,
on
though.
they still on the same text threads. He talking about I text Drake and such and such at the same time and told them don't be on this. You know what I'm saying? It's
How many
like
times
come
you
on.
text somebody that you hate?
I don't text
Never.
anybody I hate.
Yeah.
Never.
I barely text people I like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fact. I mean,
That's way too much energy. To be
No,
texting
but like,
somebody I hate.
but with the kid, because remember, Drake and Kid Cudi had some real mental health beef at one point.
like, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just keep that to you. Yeah, but I'm just saying. And then like, that's when I saw that feature, I was like, really, Kid Cudi, and like, you know, him and Kanye supposed to be people.
I mean, I'm all for like reconciliation. You know,
Yeah, maybe they.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
maybe
what's
they patch
funny?
It is what it is.
This is the funny part about all this. How Trippie Redd somehow thought he was inserting himself into this and was going to win. And it's like, nah, you just put out a song where Drake was talking spicy and people listened to it and was like, okay, that was really weak. And you're still trash. We're not messing with you. And you weren't featured on Drake's album. You didn't even get a pat on the back.
We're gonna get some L's in the comment for dissing Trippie Redd.
Man,
Nah, well,
I'm cool
that's
on
cool.
Trippie Redd.
Yeah, that's
Do it.
I'm
Yeah,
cool
you gotta
on
do
him.
All right, let's transition in. It's very similar to this, but the third kind of topic. We actually have four, but we can do. Speaking on Jay-Z and Drake, apparently the great hooper Trae Young.
Okay, first of all,
He backtracked that all the way though.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he? So,
because
But-
the internet got on his ass.
but let's talk about this though, because
Talk about it.
there's definitely people that believe this is true.
There he is,
So
unfortunately.
Trae Young said essentially, when are we going to pass the throne, if you will?
Mm.
And from Jay-Z to Drake.
No.
So I think we pretty much just talked about why this thing, but
Yeah.
can we go a little bit further into why this won't be a thing?
it will never be a thing
But why?
because he's too one-dimensional. Like, he's way too one-dimensional. And if you look, I'm not saying like Jay-Z's the deepest person, like the deepest rapper out there, but he like there are things that he does for communities, for like the underprivileged people, like, and just for like music and like hip hop,
Even just
in
the
general.
music, not even including
Yeah.
the philanthropy or whatever.
Just that alone, like, there's diversity in like his projects, there's diversity in his approach to music, and Drake just doesn't have that, which we just spent that time talking about. So it's like there's no way that he could pass him because he doesn't
have the range.
he doesn't have the capacity.
Drake
He doesn't
hasn't
have the
done
range. Like, there's no way he
anything-
can do it.
He hasn't done anything to shift the culture, so to speak. Whereas Jay has done that not once. I'm not about to sit there and be LeBron and name a whole bunch, but he's done it a handful of times. Jay-Z is the type of artist that can tell you about his life, and he literally dropped an album called The Blueprint. He's throwing you gems on certain life things, and he's told people how to dress, and people follow suit. Like, literally, just even that. Drake doesn't have that cultural reach like that. He hasn't tapped into that type of energy, in my personal opinion. He can drop some cool, notable rhymes here and there, and moment music, and he's going to be remembered through time. I give him that. But he has not shifted the culture or made anybody go against him. That's for real in this rap thing, other than Pusha T.
All right, Jay, real quick. Number one, do you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I'm just absolutely look. As the only thing you can compare Jay-Z and Drake to is even the people who don't like Drake and the people who don't like Jay-Z are still compelled to listen to their music just so they can have an opinion on it. That's the only comparison there is. I mean, you can say, oh, you can look at Billboard stats. Billboard stats don't mean anything to me now in the streaming era. It just doesn't, because I think it's just like with they need to put asterisks by some of these records that people quote unquote are breaking in the streaming era, because I'm sorry, the fact that somebody sat and listened to it on their phone all weekend does not equate to me to getting up and going to the store physically and buying a CD. Yeah. It just doesn't. You know, when you talk about what a stream is worth, I'm sorry, you can't compare that to what it is for me to stand outside of the discount den at midnight so I can get the Tribe Called Quest album. Who's that? Yeah, it's a group. You know, you might have heard of them.
But what about this? Do we all? What do we mean by Drake hasn't shifted the culture? And does that matter?
I think Drake in a way has shifted culture. Maybe not. We got to think.
Not in the same sense as a Jay-Z.
Maybe not, but we got to think about, once again, we're in our late 30s, early 40s. If you're 18, Drake has shifted culture. If you're 22, maybe Drake has shifted culture. We don't see it because we have so much of a bigger sample size of hip hop and of culture to draw from, where when we see what Drake is doing, we're like, whatever. But if you're 18, you got to understand Drake in a way. I mean, because Trae Young is how old? He's what, 14?
Young. He shifted Canadian. He shifted Canadian culture because they didn't have a hip hop artist to even look up to other than like Cardinal Official and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
𝗏𝗏, shout out to Socrates. There was always a scene up there, but it's just not to this level. But so Trae Young might be at oldest 23, 24. Drake has been famous for 11 or 12 years. Yeah. So to Trae Young, Drake is Jay-Z. Because, just think about what was the last Jay-Z album was 444. That was the first year of this podcast. So you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Trae Young was still a teenager.
Yeah. So, and that didn't speak to him. So there are people.
Jay-Z been speaking to that young man his whole life.
I'm just saying, like, if
so Big Daddy Kane.
Once again, it really is about perspective. Like, if I talk to my young boys and they don't know Jay-Z like we know him. They weren't there for when Jay-Z told everybody to put up the throwback jerseys and put on button-ups. They don't remember that.
I remember their parents dressing them in button-ups.
I would never mistake what Michael Jackson has done or Prince has done for what Jay-Z has done. Like,
never.
So there's no excuse to say that because he grew up in this era, that's the pinnacle to him, because the music's still there. Like, I know the impact that Michael Jackson and Prince had on the world and music, and it's not like that's not even comparable to what Jay-Z has done. And it's the same way if you go down. So Jay-Z to Drake, like, just because Drake has been famous for as long as he's been around or has been like a young adult, like, there are other people and with well documented that have really changed the culture. Like, Michael Jackson really changed the culture of music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I would never say, oh, Jay-Z had as big an impact on music as Michael Jackson or Prince has. Just like you just can't say that Drake made a difference in music
the same way that
Jay-Z has.
Let me ask you this.
I was trying to, once again, just playing devil's advocate of like,
as
far as like who these, I had this conversation with, one of my homegirls, and I said, look, I didn't get XXXTentacion. I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
It's true.
But for you talk to somebody who's a certain age, that's their Tupac. And I know for
Juice WRLD the same way.
I know people listening to me are like, that's blasphemous. Yeah, because you're the same age as me. You remember Tupac. And these kids, the impact, like I see
It's the microwave Tupac.
I see him with the t-shirts. You know, they still post about him. They still talk about him. You know, the same way we just, you know, after, you know, we're coming up on Tupac being taken from us 25 years ago. So now you're talking to, but you talk to somebody who's 17.
It's crazy.
XXX is so,
know him
yeah,
alive.
yeah. They don't.
That's kind of like us. Like, I mean, we technically didn't know like
when Marvin
Bob
Gaye,
Marley
Yeah.
alive, or Marvin Gaye died when I was like
84.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like 4 or 5 years old when he passed away. But like, when
But you still
I'm putting it in
know.
context, yeah, I know.
But it didn't affect.
and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and listen
We
to
was
it.
like,
See,
oh,
that's
that's sad.
That's the kind of difference in the generational thing. We'll go back and actually listen and get an understanding. Some of them will, but some of them won't. A lot of them won't.
A lot of them won't.
Well, I
But
think-
like, even what I was going to make a point about is with Jay-Z, how many people was like throwing up the rock and saying they want to be signing Rockefeller and this, that, and the other. It ain't a whole bunch of kids walking around talking about OVO and
you don't
with
know
owl
them.
necklaces on.
It's that we don't know them.
I know some.
it's the
I
different.
know a good amount of
I
them.
think it's just a different generation, because I feel like the two at the same time, like us as kids were different as the kids now. Kids now have so much more access to everything and access to people. And we've had time to come around and check out all these artists. You know, a lot of people. My point of the access thing is a lot of these people that we hear these voices from, the younger people now, it's because they're on social media. We can literally hear them.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, like, we had time to grow into pay attention to stuff, and conversations just move differently. I don't know. I think this conversation is interesting because we're kind of prefacing it a little bit around like moving the culture, but also like impact, and like we are putting a little bit of an emphasis on like, what do these artists do that is really like game changing?
Mm-hmm.
And also like even outside of like their content too. Like I feel like all the artists that we've talked about, their content was a very specific type of way. And it's interesting to think about how Drake's content really is just for popularity. Like it's for the lowest common denominator. Like it really is. It's
I wouldn't even say that. I just say Drake makes records for Drake fans. He's not trying to impress
Drake is
anybody.
he's a cool senior in high school that never graduates.
he's like,
Yo,
Fonz.
for real, like that's what it kind of seems like. That,
Yeah,
like
he-
that's that
Or
same energy.
he comes back every homecoming and was like, check this out.
Yeah.
It's like
really
the
is, 'cause
high
he-
school hero.
and like
He's got rumors of dating kids too, so there's
that's
that.
sad.
You know what?
But
I mean, he
But-
does.
yeah, I forget my point. So never mind.
Sorry, but
Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, but I don't know. Yeah, the Drake.
I feel like it just like it should move you. Like I think there's a difference when you have pop party club songs, but then you have like music that actually like makes you feel compelled to like change who you are, or at least think. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I can dig
That's
that.
just me. That's just me.
Because there's like when I think of Jay-Z, I think of certain songs that you could drop right now and everybody will sing it word for word.
Jay-Z
know what I'm saying?
did
But I feel like Drake has that too, though.
He
He
does,
does.
but it's not it's not hard, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like I can drop a hard Jay-Z song and everybody in the crowd knows it. The men, the ladies, everybody knows it.
I think it's just generation.
A Drake song you'll drop, everybody will know it, but it doesn't feel the same when it's being sung back to you, so to speak. I
Maybe-
don't know.
This goes back to episode number 1 of the New Old Heads when we talked about Drake being a pop star. I think he's just a pop star that raps, man.
And there's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing wrong with it.
because-
He's figured that lane out to in
He
a
got
way
it.
that nobody else
He
has.
got it.
And because he raps specifically, it makes him a little bit different than like a Michael Jackson or a Prince or a, I don't know, Guns N'
Ain't nobody
So you trying to
ain't
say
nobody
Drake is
been able
better
to
than
come
Michael
out on
Jackson and
stage
Prince?
and just stand there and have people falling out and crying and passing out and like Michael Jackson. There's never been another artist like that.
drugs.
He said drugs.
Well, I mean, even when we like I said, I don't see it. He doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like now. I feel like Drake. We just know he doesn't have another gear. You know,
he's got a ceiling.
He's got a 10
he's got a
speed.
ceiling. I just know that like Kendrick, he might have another gear that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't. I mean, maybe he
don't
doesn't.
know.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Kendrick's already showed us a lot.
Kendrick
of gears,
showed us a
so-
couple weeks like he got through 4 bars. I was like, that's his ninth flow. You know?
I'm a huge Kendrick fan.
Kendrick
so I'm
don't
not,
be out
I'm
here
just-
playing games.
Yeah. Well, I think that's towards the end of the show this week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know what our time is looking like.
Yeah, we're like. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Let's
you
look
know,
real
We're
quick.
about an hour.
Are we over or under?
We're over.
Oh, we're over?
I
All right.
mean, 14 seconds.
Oh, just a little bit.
okay, that
All
means
right.
we
What do
can't.
you guys think, fans? Should we stay?
That's for the post show.
Should I stay or should I go? All right. Well,
let's wrap.
thank you guys for tuning in for episode 253 of the New Old Heads podcast. You can check us out, of course, on newoldheads.com. Pretty much go there. You can find us on everything that you want to find us on. So every social media app, you want to watch us, you want to listen to us, all that good stuff. So go ahead and do that. And if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/newoldheads. It's the best way to support us directly. All that money goes to us buying new gear. And, you know, I think what's up next is maybe like a table or something. You know, we've had this makeshift table for a long time.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week for episode 254. So until then, we'll talk to you then. Peace.
Peace. In a minute.